Hello and welcome. This video is a response to an Ask My Instructor question from MyMathLab about estimating domain and range from a graph. So here's the original problem, and we can see here where it's already been answered correctly for the domain. Obviously this graph extends infinitely left and right, which means that the domain really we're talking about all real numbers. That's what this domain is telling us right here. The range sometimes can be a little more confusing, but really what we're talking about on the range, we're essentially talking about the y values. And I put the y in quotation marks just because it's not always y. The vertical axis could be all sorts of things. Essentially what we're just looking at is the output of the function. And as outputs we often think of that in terms of y. So in this case, notice that this is a horizontal line, and so the function stays right here on y equals 2. It doesn't get bigger, it doesn't get smaller, it just stays on 2. And so in this case we could say the range is a list of values, which would be 2. And notice here the curly braces. Okay, these denote a set in mathematics. So we're looking at a set of numbers or objects. In what we're working with, normally we will think of them as numbers, or it could be other objects. And in this case, the only thing in the set is the number 2. You know, if we wanted to write this in interval notation, like up above, it would essentially be 2 to 2. The interval is closed because it includes 2, and it never gets anywhere further than 2. If we did this on the calculator, we go to y equals, and we know that if we were to make a function here, then g of x would be equal to 0 times x, because we know the slope of any horizontal line is 0, plus 2, which would just be equal to, of course, 2. In my calculator, I can just write that as y equals 2. And then when I graph it, of course, there's my horizontal line coming across at y equals 2. Now the other thing I can do is look at a table of values, and we see that no matter what x is, y is always 2. So the x that's talking about my domain, and all sorts of values I could put in here. We can put in all kinds of different numbers. The y values are always 2. They never ever change. And so that's how we would interpret this particular graph to find the domain and range of the function. So, hope that helps, and we'll talk to you again in another video.